Chicago teaches you the price of almost. Almost enough savings, almost enough space in a one-bedroom that pretends to be two, almost enough courage to say you want more. Most nights, our life felt like a balanced spreadsheet, numbers tidy. My name is Sophia Miller. I'm 31, and I live in Chicago. I'm married to Daniel Carter, 34, a software engineer with a medium salary, the kind that pays groceries without panic and rent without pride. We're not sinking, just stuck. Student loans, an old car note, a credit card that never resets, comfort with a ceiling you can touch. Daniel loves me in quiet, competent ways. Oil changes before the light comes on, towels replaced when they thin, the thermostat set before I shiver. I used to find it soothing. Lately, it sounds like living inside a checklist of the same day. I work in marketing near the river, pitching aspirational lives for brands I'll never afford. On the train to the Loop, I rehearse taglines and wonder who writes copy for women who chose safety and woke up restless. When I bring up the future, owning, not renting, a week somewhere warmer than March, Daniel's jaw tightens like it's math that won't bend. He says we're fine. He's right. Fine pays the bills. Fine doesn't move. On a wet Tuesday, a new account lands. A luxury tower off Michigan Avenue. All glass, doormen, kitchens, with islands larger than our living room. The client is a coastal firm expanding into Chicago, hungry for headlines. My manager slides me the brief. I'll lead creative. We meet them in a room that smells like coffee and printer heat. Suits, watches, the soft, expensive kind of laughter that never reaches the eyes. And then he arrives, Adrian Blake, 40s, Miami skin, tie loosened like a calculated apology. He listens the way rooms go quiet for. When I walk him through mood boards, he asks, "What does this image promise when no one's watching?" My pulse answers first. Daniel texts a grocery list question. I type whatever's on sale and set the phone face down like a mirror I can't face. Across the table, Adrian nods at me instead of the deck. "You get it," he says softly, as if he knows what it means beyond the campaign. After the meeting, he lingers at the window tracing the skyline. "Chicago rewards hunger," he says. Then to me, "Private investor dinner next week. Small, no press. Creative should see the room we're selling to." I should say I'll check with my husband. I should remember the ceiling I can touch. Instead, I hear my voice. Send the details. On the train home, windows flick by, bigger kitchens, softer couches, light that lingers. In our apartment, Daniel stirs jarred sauce and kisses my temple without looking up. I tell him it was fine. Some doors don't slam. They click the moment you agree to be in the room where they open. I tell myself I'm only doing my job. But my heart, traitor that it is, has already started taking notes in a different tense. After that Tuesday, the project accelerates like the city after thaw. Adrian splits weeks between Miami and Chicago, enough to make our skyline feel like a second address. In hard hat walkthroughs, he talks about light as if it's a material. In boardrooms, he dismantles weak ideas with a smile that never shows teeth. When I present quiet luxury mood boards, winter sun, kitchens that look like relief, his attention feels like permission to want more than fine. Home stays steady. Daniel logs payments, labels leftovers, asks about my day while stirring pasta. His kindness is on time, like a train. I resent the schedule and hate myself for it. The investor dinner is low light and hush. I'm there to listen, to catch the words buyers use when they think no one is taking notes. Adrian drifts the room like it's tuned to him. When he reaches my end of the table, he pauses at my place card as though we share a thread. We talk narrative, the way a building sells a feeling before a floor plan. I call it quiet competence. He calls it hunger with manners. I forget to breathe. Courses pass, all silver and steam. My phone buzzes with a photo from Daniel. Snow, hallowing our streetlight. I type soon and turn the screen over like it might see me. A toast dims the room. Glass chimes. Beneath the linen, a warm weight settles over my fingers. Deliberate, deniable. Heat climbs my wrist like a secret learning my name. I think of ceilings you can touch, of debt that ages faster than hope, of a man at home who measures love in the groceries he remembers without asking. Above the table, I smile at a joke I don't hear. Below it, I hold still. When the lights return, his hand vanishes with the same unhurried certainty. Later, by the renderings, he lists next steps. Site content, a private walkthrough, a buyer's, breakfast where creative should be present. Each item sounds harmless the way storms do from far away. Outside, the city is brittle cold. In our kitchen, a covered bowl waits with a note. Heat 3 minutes. Stir halfway. I eat standing up, coat on, staring into the dark window for the version of me who didn't know what warmth under linen felt like. Nothing happened, I tell myself. Clients touch hands. Rooms make heat. Restraint counts. But on the train north, our reflection ghosts the glass. Me in a dress I can't afford twice, memorizing rooms that remember my name. Beside Daniel's steady breathing that night, a folded invitation presses under my ribs. Keep entering rooms you weren't meant to, and doors start remembering you. On the ride home, I count stops like penance I don't believe in. A woman nods off against the window, and I envy her easy sleep. When I step into our apartment, Daniel has set out a bowl and a note about heating times. Love is present tense on the counter. My hunger feels like future perfect, what I will have chosen once I finally choose. Weeks move like a tide I pretend I'm not letting carry me. Adrian keeps Chicago hours. Site checks at dawn. Boardrooms by noon. Unnamed rooms where numbers turn into decisions. I'm in more of them than a mid-level lead should be. Creative needs a seat, he says, and people nod as if it's policy, not preference. His attention sharpens me. I stay late, polishing approved lines, reordering images that didn't need it. When he suggests breakfast with early buyers so I can hear the subtext, I go. When he asks citrus or cedar for the lobby, I answer like it's fate. Daniel notices the absence more than the hours. He lifts a bill I used to handle and says he's paid it. He asks if he should wait for dinner. I tell him not to. On Sundays, once for river walks and dog spotting, he folds laundry with the TV low, as if quiet could buffer it. The crack starts small. He finds a dress I bought for a client dinner and tilts the tag toward light. He doesn't scold. He asks what we're trading for what. We're fine, I say, the word like dust, he asks when fine became an insult. That night, after he sleeps, a message from Adrian lights the room, a breakfast slot. Then another line I read 3 times. You should be where you're valued. The sentence lands like a blueprint. Clear, seductive, impossible to unsee. A week later, we walk raw floors with coffee. At a window where scaffolding looks elegant, he says, as fact, not promise. I'd take care of you. Conditions don't need stating. I feel the shape of the offer without touching its edges. At home, our kitchen keeps small rhythms. Daniel's hand brushes mine passing the salt, and I recoil at how easily that tenderness is taken for granted. In the bathroom, I sit on the tub edge and count breaths until the room steadies. I want a villain and an obvious door. I have a husband who loves me in spreadsheets and a man who makes me feel like the room itself is listening. I tell myself there's a version where I can try a life and come back if it doesn't fit. That fantasy is the rope I use to pull the pin. I rehearse for 2 days. Wednesday sounds neutral. When Daniel comes home, he kisses my hair and asks if we need anything. We need to talk, I say, and watch his face close like a book. I can't do this anymore. He stands very still. Do what? This version of us that never changes. The ceiling I can touch. The debt and the same dinners we call a plan. I want a divorce. No shouting. He sets his keys in the bowl and lines them up. Is there someone? It isn't a trap. It's a man checking if the floor is already gone beneath him. My phone buzzes on the counter. His name lighting. Going dark. The word I choose will fix the shape of everything next. The knock saves me and only delays the answer I've already given. The neighbor returns a misplaced package. Voices fill the hall, then fade. In the quiet that follows, the choice I made sits between us like furniture we can't move. By the weekend, boxes have names. His, mine, and a taped line runs down the living room like a gym floor. We divide the ordinary. Mugs, towels, the plant that only likes the east window. I sign papers with a hand that doesn't feel like mine and move into an apartment that smells like new paint and someone else's plan. Adrian calls it a bridge place. 2 bedrooms, high floor, a pewter slice of lake. The lease isn't in my name. Simpler, he says. A stylist arrives with garment bags. My closet turns into neutrals that photograph well. A driver learns my code. Lunch shows up in bags that feel like awards. At first I call it earned. Long nights, good work. He keeps me close. Site walks, investor breakfasts, rooms where my deck no longer needs an introduction. When he flies to Miami, I go. The condo there is all view and quiet, a museum before opening. Control comes wrapped as care. He moves my calendar to his assistant so I can focus on creative. My phone pings with hair appointments I didn't book, and dinners I didn't agree to. He adjusts my hemlines and calls it polish. When I mention drinks with Tasha, he counters with a private tasting, better for networking. His hand at my back appears at doorways and disappears once we're seen. I learn the choreography. My inbox fills with glossy invitations. Messages to old friends shrink to emojis, and soon, I sleep on 800 thread sheets and miss the creak of our old bed. One afternoon in Miami, I stay back to finish captions. His iPad is open. I need a photo in his drive. The mail icon flashes a red dot that isn't mine. I mean to ignore it. A preview catches, flight booked. I shouldn't tap. I do. Months of messages unspool. Casual, then dinners, then hotel confirmations. Photos in late night glow. A silk dress I've only seen on billboards. The same balcony I used for coffee. 2 glasses on the counter I'd wiped an hour before. Her name repeats like a chorus. Kenzie. Farther down, a muted video I don't need to hear. His watch in frame. A line from him. Meet me at the private entrance. And 4 blue hearts from her. Dates slot into our life like a cruel puzzle. My Chicago meetings. His Miami overnights. The morning he stepped out to take a call. I stare at my event-ready reflection and hear the small sound you make when a wound is too clean to bleed. I wanted rage because rage moves. What I have is humiliation in a language I just learned. I insisted on being chosen and discover I'm part of a rotation that runs like his building lights. The lock clicks. The soft, expensive hush of it. Footsteps. I don't close the app fast enough. Blue bubbles wait for his reply. He sets his keys down, lifts his eyes, takes in the tablet, my grip, my mouth. For a breath, neither of us performs. Dinner? He asks, like nothing requires a name. I don't know if I will confront him or hand back the tablet like it burns. I only know the cage is real and gold, and the door was never designed to open from my side. Adrian doesn't fight. He doesn't deny flights, private entrances, blue hearts. In the same calm voice that makes rooms hush, he says we've grown into different needs. By nightfall, a driver lines my suitcases in the hall. By morning, my door code stops working. I told myself I wanted clean. I didn't know it would feel like being vacuum sealed out of a life. I go back to Chicago with 2 suitcases, 1 box of kitchen things, and a dress that now looks like a borrowed language. I rent a small room over a bakery. The L hums like a metronome telling me I'm still here. I ping old contacts, swallow pride, take gigs no one brags about, landing pages, product blurbs, an event booth brief that adds a last-minute ask. Could I cover on-site in Austin for a tech conference? 3 days, per diem, badge at registration. Austin feels like Chicago wearing sun. The convention center breathes recycled air and ambition. I clip on a temporary badge and spend a morning smiling at passersby whose eyes slide to the next pitch. At lunch, a crowd drifts toward a keynote. I don't plan to stop. Then I hear a voice I know in a cadence I don't. Daniel. Navy suit, easy posture, no ring of fatigue under his eyes. He's introduced as CEO of a data platform with customers whose names people drop. The room leans in. He speaks with clarity I don't remember, slipping in a joke that lands. People take notes. I stand at the back by a charging pole, one hand on metal like I might float away. The man I left for not moving moves an entire room. After, a line forms. Investors, founders, kids angling for internships. I tell myself to keep walking. My feet don't. When the line thins, he turns and sees me. Surprise. Then something softer. Not anger. Worse. Wellness. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Sofia. A woman slides to his elbow. Clara. Simple dress that reads elegant under fluorescent light. Hair pinned like a decision. She gives me the brief, kind smile of rooms like this, then touches his sleeve. You are great, she says. A handler waves. Photos? 2 minutes, babe. The word lands like a stamp on a letter to the wrong address. He turns to me again, careful. I'm glad you're okay. No accusation. A boundary wrapped in grace. I'm working, I say. Freelance? That suits you, Clara says. They're pulled toward cameras, their hands finding each other like a route they've memorized. I stare at a blank draft on my phone. Coffee? 10 minutes? And watch his half smile on a hallway monitor. I don't send it, not yet. That night, in the hotel, I type the line anyway and save it in drafts, like a life I'm not ready to name. At the window, the city hums through the HVAC. I count red beads of traffic and picture him rolling his sleeves before writing code. I realize I don't know this version who speaks fluent stage. I imagine small questions. Sleep, breakfast, tulips in fall spring, and know I've lost the right to hear the answers. Back in Chicago, the draft text sits in my phone like a splinter. On the third morning, I hit send before I can watch the bubbles. His reply arrives at a red light. Short, careful, kind. It's better not. I wish you well. The light turns green. I cross the river with a chest too tight for February. Life shrinks to tasks, blurbs, temp badges, calls from numbers that always know my balance. On good nights, I cook pasta. On bad ones, I eat crackers and remind myself small isn't nothing. The city moves anyway. Trains breathe. The lake changes moods. I avoid Michigan Avenue. Glass shows you back to yourself. When banners for the tower go up, I cross the street without looking. A too bright Tuesday, I duck into a corner kiosk for coffee that tastes like pennies. Newspapers hang in plastic clips. Glossy magazines stack like brick. On top, a business monthly black-white headline gold foil subhead catches light. I see the photo before the words. Daniel, navy suit, now with ease where straying used to live. Clara beside him, shoulders bare to winter like it's a choice. They're angled toward each other, with the economy that reads as home. The cover line does what covers do. Tech power couple of the year. I don't pick it up at first. A man buys lottery tickets. A woman argues about bus passes. I slide the magazine free and pay with coins I count twice. Outside, the river wears that pewter look it gets before snow decides. On a cold bench, I read the profile. Bootstrapped beginnings. Small team grown real. Customers with names you drop. A quote from him lands like a bridge I'm too late to cross. Stability isn't the enemy of ambition, it's the platform. A quote from her tightens my throat. We choose the work that makes us proud. And each other. There's a rooftop photo I know by Skyline Ridge. He laughs at something off frame. She looks at him, not the camera. I trace the page until it warms. I want to be angry at how neat gloss can look. How it skips the kitchen where Bills lived and the night I said divorce. Like an answer. But neat isn't false. He didn't become someone else. Just the version that didn't fit under the ceiling I kept pointing at. Wind needles my coat. I fold the magazine, slide it into my tote, and start walking. Past tower banners and a florist carrying June in buckets. Past a lobby mirror where I once practiced smiling. A bus hisses. Doors open like a throat clearing. I climb aboard, the magazine thumping my hip with each step. Maybe this is what consequence sounds like. Quiet, heavy, unremarkable to everyone but you. The river slips away, and I ask the only question I can stand. What do you build when the future you wanted shows up in your city wearing someone else's face? The bus groans through a green light. Somewhere a building elevator dings. I grip the rail, breathe winter air that sneaks through the seams, and promise myself the next thing I build will have room for the person I actually am.